Hello, Intentional Nation. Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to the Be Intentional with Chesca show, the space where purpose meets passion and real talk flows freely. You know how we do it. We sit with extraordinary souls doing life on purpose, boldly walking in their calling and redefining what it means to live intentional.
Be intentional about the things you do, about the things you say, the choices that you make. Be intentional about everything in life. Be intentional.
Now, today is different. Today we are going beyond the pulpit, and it ain't your typical Sunday sermon. We are diving so deep into raw, real, and necessary conversations. Have you ever sat down and wondered, who is my pastor? When the mic is off, when the colors are down, when the church lights go out, who is your pastor? Then buckle up. Grab a journal, turn that volume up, lean in, because we are pulling back the curtain and sitting down with a man who has poured out his life in service to God and to people. He's preached fire, he's led faithfully, and impacted thousands, including myself. So today, we are seeing the man behind the ministry, one of God's great general in Ghana. And listen, a total disclaimer here, you will hear me call him Daddy, Papa, because that's who he is to me. The man is the one who raised me, affirmed me, and showed me what it means to be loved, to be covered, and to be seen. So yes, this chat is deeply personal. And on this note, drop some heart emojis in the chat, hit that share button, tag your group chats, whoever you need to call in. Don't let anyone miss this one. Now it's my honor and my privilege and my joy to welcome to the Be Intentional with Chesca show, one of God's great generals in Ghana, officially based in the Ashanti region, Kumasi, of the Susansu Road, the General Overseer of the Father's Cathedral, Family Chapel International, the one and only Bishop Dr. Victor Osei. Papa Victor.
Hi.
How are you
Chesca,
today?
excellent. The Lord has been good, and we continue to rely on His grace and mercy.
Praise God. Thank God. Thank you so much for honoring us and being here to share your life with us.
I think that you should always have a place of eminence if it comes to interviewing me, even though we've been back and forth. Strangely, it's when I'm out of Ghana that we've managed to get together. Yeah.
And
It's a pleasure.
honored. Yes, I am so honored to have you today. So, Bishop,
Thank
let's
you.
kick things off with a bit of a curve.
Please use daddy. You said it, so use daddy.
There you go.
Make it a bit informal.
I was doing that for the people, but I have the full license. I have access. So yes, Daddy, it's gonna be.
Yeah.
So Daddy, when the mic is off, when the rope is hung, when the crowds have gone, and the amen has echoed into silence, who is Bishop Dr. Victor say when it's just you and
A human being,
okay?
just another human being, one who at a point in his life had to make a decision between serving God or entering into family business. And I had to, with great, I would say, trepidation, choose God, because my encounters with God brought me a measure of faith in the midst of fear and the midst of the uncertainty of the future. So I am very much aware of my humanity. But that humanity, that managed somehow, chosen by God, with a drop of unction to function. So his mercy has been good. And so I am just another human being. I behave just like any other person at home. And I am, and you know, I'm no different. I'm a father and a husband at home. And I would add this, I am not a roamer. I'm not somebody who leaves the office, leaves the pulpit, and ends up in town visiting people. But from my office, my home is my secure place and my fun place and my exciting place. Loving to share, to tease, to be together with my family, and that's the way I've always been, and I've carried that through up till today. Besides my office and my home, the only other place you get me is in some pulpit. And then I also love occasionally, any country I go to, I love to do tourism, local tourism, to visit places. So basically, that is to be another human being.
Wow. And I can testify to that. I am a
Yeah,
witness to that, that the
yeah,
daddy you see in the pulpit is not different from the daddy at home. He's
yeah, yeah.
human, he's relatable, he's all that you see. And thank you so much for being human, because
Thank you.
living with you, I think that was my biological dad was a pastor as well, and so seeing his human side, I wasn't expecting anything different. However, I had to, as I progressed in life, I went into other churches where I saw pastors being a bit
I
more.
know what you mean. Idolized.
Yes. And it was different encounters with them on a personal level and different encounters when you meet them in the pulpit. So coming to
Mm,
you, Lord bringing me to you, experiencing how real you are both at home and on the pulpit, and not two-faced, not something for anybody to be
no,
confused about. That was a gift.
no.
That was a real gift for me. So if we should rewind a little
Okay,
bit, what was
okay,
little Victor like? What kind of upbringing shaped the man behind the ministry? And maybe if you
okay.
have any cheeky stories or pivotal moments that
Um,
helped.
I, I, I have. I came from a family that grounded us. My siblings and I. We came from a background that my father was a very progressive businessman, a contractor. He set up factories, etc., in his lifetime, and he always made sure and told us clearly that if I gave you a house and you are a stupid person, you'd end up selling it and you'd have nothing left. But if I gave you education, then even if you don't have money, you can get something to eat by it. So you can work and monthly you earn a living. We were treated just as the houseboys and then the maids were treated. We ate the same food. So basically, it gave us the attitude of respecting and honoring human beings, no matter where they came from. In our house in Accra, where I spent a lot of my formative years, we at one time had over 23 people living in that house. And people wonder where we were sleeping. It was a huge place, double-story building. And the boys lived on one side and the girls lived on the other side. So cousins, nieces, friends would all be congregated there during the holidays, and so we had a blast. Now, interesting stories. There are 1,001 stories. My father was sometimes a taskmaster,
Okay.
meaning that whether there was a houseboy or not, you would work just like a houseboy. And if he realized that during the holidays we wanted to go out to the discotheque or to a party, and he didn't want us to go, he had a very beautiful trick. He would just bring out his cloths as a typical Ashanti man. And sometimes these cloths were about 50 or 100 of them. Bring everything out and say, dry it on the line. And 100 cloths, 100 cloths cannot take the line. So you have to do it maybe in 10, 10, 10. And then you say, keep it on the line for about an hour or two. Afterwards, iron them and fold them. You would finish at 12 midnight. It means that the party you will not go, and we would sulk and be angry. And then he would get you to clean the floor. And those days, terrazzo floors were terrazzo. And when you finish, when it dried, he would let you use what we called those days mansion polish. You'd rub the mansion polish on it, wait for 15 minutes, and then start polishing it. Then when he got there, he would just pass his foot on it to make sure it's so smooth. And we would be so mad and angry, expecting that why didn't the houseboy, housegirl did it? And then he taught us the culture of work. So I'm not afraid to work. When I travel anywhere in the world, I can iron my stuff. I can wash my stuff. I don't really have a problem with that. So that was it. And my mom, one time I remember that, we always jump the wall to go to discotheques. And then what she would do is she would wait until about 5 a.m. when we are tired, when we arrived, maybe 4 a.m. Then she'll come with her slippers, come into our rooms. And then, typical Fanti woman. Then she'll start slapping us with her slippers. From a bond, one sorry, go and sweep, Go brought up to understand the work ethic. We were not spoiled. And the funny thing, when I began to grow up, I realized that because we had everything we needed at home, it did not make me arrogant, but it made me humble. The opposite way. A lot of people would have been very arrogant, but it made me humble. And also, number two, it did not let me envy anybody.
Why is that? How is that? Because it would have been the opposite instead.
It's a very strange thing. And as I said in the beginning, the way my pop trained us, he trained us to respect humanity, whether you had it or you did not have it. And in our home, lots of people came to live even with us, some in the area, some from outside. So that's how I cultivated that habit of bringing other people's children. Our friends, some didn't have parents in secondary school, lived with us, served, and ended up, some of them are now doctors in different places in the world. One day, I walked into a place in Canada, Toronto, into, was it Walmart? Yeah, Walmart. And then somebody said, used my local name, said, Brother Marfo, Brother Victor. And then when somebody uses that name, immediately, I said, goes back. I said, Marfo. No, I said, yes, hello. And I always have to keep that plastic smile. Hi, how you doing? He says, oh, you don't recognize me? And I said, please, just tip me off. And they said, oh, my brother used to live with you.
Wow.
And his name is Oman. I said, whoa, yes, now I remember you. Said, your father was the one who brought me to England for the first time.
Wow.
And I looked at my father had gone to be with the Lord then, and my eyes were teary. And then she said, because I meet people all over the world who are like that. And she said, he brought me to London. That's where I met my husband. And then we moved to Canada. And says, I am the pharmacist at this Walmart shop. And she gave me a card and said, look, whatever you need here, you can take it on my card. And I said, I don't need anything. And I said, I don't need anything, but I'm just happy to meet you. So I took a few vitamins and then I said to her, thank you very much. She said, wow. She was so excited and happy. And I meet people all the time. Like I met this elderly man in London, and this elderly man said the same thing. Are you, is your brother the High Commissioner? And I said, yes, he's the High Commissioner. And said, your father paid my ticket to London for university. And I said, and this man was about 80 years old. And he said, and he began to weep. And I said, what? Why are you weeping, sir? He said, if it had not been him, I wouldn't have had a life. And then he said to me, I have nothing to give you. I wish I could just put something into your pocket and appreciate what your father did for me. He says, when I finish university, he said, if you finish, I'll buy your ticket to visit your family. And your dad honored it. I came back to London. I'm on retirement. The next day, he put £200 in an envelope and said, this is for what your daddy did for me. I wish I could do so much, but now I am on retirement. So I meet people all over the world. I met somebody also because of the pulpit who said to me, I preached a message in their church, Foursquare Gospel Church. And that message has been the standard for his life. And so anytime he hears I'm around, he's been trying to get hold of me, but he can't. So he heard I was in an area, and then he quickly picked, after church, he picked a train, tube, and then got to where I was. And then he opened his Bible, showed me where the notes were. This was about 20 years after I preached the message. And so I said, okay, okay. And he gave me an envelope, and I thanked him. And so for me, humanity, basically, every man of God, servant of God, human being is called for humanity. So if you don't have a compassionate heart, if you don't honor and respect people, I learned that at home. And then the second way I learned humility, not only from my parents, but from the fact that I went through some patch in my life at a particular time. Very early after sixth form, I led my own life and I had some experiences. And those experiences I had broke me down. And then I began to realize who human beings were and how frail and fragile human beings are. And that today here, today not there again. And it really, 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 really couched my life. And so there we are.
Wow. Daddy, you've already offloaded so much that it's difficult to take in. And I personally, I'm sitting here feeling so grateful because I'm a beneficiary of what you've just described. I have lived
Thank
with
you.
you, I have
Thank
been
you.
raised by you, I have lived in your house. And what you've just described as what your home looked like growing up is the kind of home we had.
Yeah.
Everybody walks in. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter where you're coming from. Once you are
Yeah.
here, you are home. And none of us were treated.
I still have about three people who are not my biological children.
I know.
And I'm excited because they're all doing their masters. One is about to do his doctorate. And they came to me before university. And so for me, it's exciting. And seeing them grow, seeing them become somebody. And it's a blessing. When you bless other people's lives, God blesses your own. So because of that, my children, none of them, by the grace of God, has gone waste. Every one of them is doing well in their personal lives. And I'm excited about that.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you for sharing that, Daddy. Daddy, would you say that just because a young pastor could be hearing you, would you say that, I mean, there are pains, there are wounds that pastors incur. We will come to that later, but would you say that
Yeah.
from the history that you have, from the blessings that you have been to others, and you can say, or you've just testified that even your children are enjoying that blessing, would you advise a young pastor who is on this journey to not waste or the energy or the journey on pain because somebody didn't show appreciation? What would
Look,
you say?
look, it is totally useless to live your life hurt, pained, and unforgiven. It is totally a waste of energy and time. You know something? If somebody has truly wronged you, God will justify. And I've seen it happen again and again and again. You know the way I am. People do things to me. I had every right to deal with them in the manner I would deal with them. I would rather tell you my peace of mind and let it go. And I can eat with my enemies and not feel a thing.
Yeah.
And not feel a
We
thing.
know that.
But at the same time, you should remember that I have handed the situation over to God. And God, it is a good thing with God to recompense evil to them that trouble us. Thessalonians. So at the end of the day, if you deserve a knock on the head, God will handle it. I won't waste my time on you. So I know how to pray. Once I pray, I leave it. Your life is your life. And whatever happens, I am not a part of it. You have created a situation. And I said to God at the time that I'll not use my own hands to destroy that which I built up. So if you want to destroy yourself by either insinuating against me or casting aspersions against me or saying things about me, true or false or whatever it is, it's your problem. That is it. But I will not involve my heart in it. No, my heart is too precious. It has better things to contain.
Thank you for that, Daddy. Daddy, what have been some of the hidden joys? You can let us know.
Wow. Hidden joys. Hidden
Yes.
joys.
Of
Number
having the
one, it
journey.
will surprise people. One of one of the hidden joys is to be able to set a table before people and let them eat and
Wow.
enjoy life when they have no food to eat, or people who never had a party. Every year I do that.
Yes.
My kids do it and I have to pay for it, and they all come from all over Accra, etc. And I always have a party for the whole church on my birthday. It's exciting for me. I might eat very little. At home, when I have a party and people gather together and I see them enjoy themselves and have a smile on their faces, for me, it gives me joy. The second thing that gives me joy is people like you and your husband. And I don't really differentiate between my biological children and my spiritual children. My children, so let me use the word, when I say my children, it goes beyond biological. Seeing you make your life
Oh, thank
and
you.
I being a part of it is one of my greatest joys. It's not everybody who appreciates, but about 80% of them do appreciate. And so when I see the way you are living your lives, the way you are singing on Facebook, the hymns, the way you are interviewing people, I said, wow, go Chesca, go Chesca, go. And I will not even trumpet to people that I have been a part of the journey. I'm not like that. One time somebody sent me your, in fact, it was Evangelist Tete. He sent me your music, and then he said, "Charlie, this girl is good. Oh, this girl is so good. It's so good." And I said to her, I said to him, "She's my daughter." He said, "What? Your daughter?" I said, "Yeah, she's my daughter." She says, "Wow." So anytime you put a new thing there, I send it to him. And for me, that is my greatest joy. To see anybody who came under my hands to be fathered, to be lifted up, to have a journey, that for me is a blessing and gives me joy. When people's lives are changed and transformed by the grace of God upon my life.
You're a great man. Daddy, it would surprise you to know that your voice actually follows us. And when I
That's
say
interesting.
that, it's, I mean, in the midst of situation, even if I don't call you, that I kind of think, what would Daddy say?
Yeah.
And that guides us. There are things you would want to do. Maybe you're angry, you want to respond to something on social media. I actually think about, if Daddy sees this, Daddy won't be happy about it.
No, I wouldn't be happy.
And so your voice still guides us, and that's such a great gift to know that
Thank
even
you.
without
Thank you.
you physically being there to say, go this way, don't go this way, you have given us the tools, the skills, the affirmations, everything that we need to
Let me
take
tell you
this
this.
journey.
Life can be lived simply and yet powerfully.
That you
Life can be lived
that.
life can be lived simply, but yet powerfully. You don't have to be a complex person to be great. Most great people are very simple people. One time, my one of my fathers in the Lord and my original father-in-law, the Archbishop Nicholas Duncan Williams. In fact, strangely, today I spoke to him. He called me in the afternoon. And anytime he calls me, I stand at attention. I say, Papa. And he says, Victor, you're very slippery. Are you outside the country? And I said, yes, sir. We had a conversation. Um, he came to my home one day. And then we were living where we were living. And he had to change himself. And he changed himself in my uncompleted room.
Wow.
And with his former wife, my Francisca. And I was like, me and my brother, hey. He intentionally came there, parked there, they got some breakfast, went and changed himself there for the program I was going to. And then he came out and said, oh, you need a few thousands to finish this place and do this and do this and do this. Wow. I was like, it was a learning curve. Another time he came, he sat there with the late Bishop Anum, and they were eating and laughing, and he was just relaxed. So I said, wow. So people don't know that certain great men are very simple people. You know, when you see them in the pulpit, it's because of the oil. So they look like, I can't get near him. I can't talk to him. You know, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. At home, the Archbishop, God bless him, is a very simple person. Up to today, I have two fathers in the Lord. And people say, why? I do. Reverend Ransford Obeng, look, he sometimes drives in this small Toyota. He has a 4x4. He drives in this small Toyota. And sometimes I'm like, really? He has the capacity to drive in any car, ride in any car. But sometimes he does that. I mean, that simplicity in the midst of greatness for me is it rubbed off on me. You don't have to be complex. And you don't have to be a show off to be great. And I see a lot of young people these days who are coming up in ministry. They want to be a show off. They want to do this. They want to buy that. They want to do this. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with riding in a wonderful car, but your concentration should not be on the material things because they fade away. I'll tell you a funny story. My 50th birthday, I told the whole church I'm going to ride in a trotro. And people said, you can't do it. Trotro, how? So I said, I'm going to do it. And I challenged my mates on the Saddle College platforms at Santa 77. At my birthday, 50th birthday, I'm going to do this. And most of them were 50 around that time. So I'll challenge anybody to say, no, they can't do it. And these are professionals, and some of them are pastors and politicians and things. I said, no. Somebody said, you can't. So I said, I'm going to video it. So I got down from my home at Ahima Kokobing, drove my car, parked it at the junction, and then a couple of people in the church came to my home in the morning to see if I'll do it. The morning of my 50th birthday. So I stopped this oven, and then they were looking at me. And then I went in. I said, join me. And they were like, and strange, for the first time, I didn't know they stopped that achiahe. You know what achiahe is?
No.
Achiahe simply means push.
Push. Achiahe.
One string, push up. In those days, our time, people would sit about 4, 5, or 6 in a row. But this time, no, they sat 3. And I found it so comfortable and exciting. That is one of the things that brings me joy, being a human being. So I wanted to feel like people feel. So they were all in the trot with me. And I joined it, and I went all the way to Santasi roundabout. When I got there, and I got down from the taxi, unfortunately for me, a lot of people know me. They were asking, Papa, Alain, do you need a taxi? Where's your car? You need this. The people was the market there. Why? And I said, oh, no, I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with me. They said, oh, no. I said, no. Today is my birthday. I want to feel like a human being. And they were all looking at me like. So there was somebody selling corn and then coconut.
And you got some.
A bro roasted. And I went and stood there, boss. I said, everybody come and eat. And they were like, right there in public. And I began to eat. And they were,
Wow.
Rose Joy was there. She was there with me and other people. And they were like, hey, Daddy. So I said, are we taking a taxi? I said, no, we're going with a trotro.
Wow.
We went back with a trotro.
You got on trotro.
Oh, yeah. The other time, too, I was in the office and all of a sudden I said, I'm going to the market. And the guys around me said, no, it rained 2 days ago. The place is muddy. And what are you going to do? The people will be rubbing against you. Come on, come on. A human being rubbing against me, so what? So I said, I'm going. They said, why are you going to do this? Look, somebody can pick your pocket. I said, I don't have to put any money in my pocket. So eventually, two of my pastors says they will come with me. Went into the central market. And when I got to a certain area, I began to see church members doing their business. And they were screaming and shouting, Daddy has come to the market. Has your pastor come to the market before? Daddy has come. And I went there, prayed with some people, and people from other churches, other were just coming around, pray for us too. They said, and they were so proud that their pastor had come to the market. That is what ministry is about. Feeling human and spreading the humanity of Christ. That is what it's all about. For me, those are the things that bring me joy. Humanity.
Let's be human.
Humanity. People shepherd us too much. They try to couch us. They make us too dignified. They make us too special. Phew. You can never understand people until you're in their own shoes.
You can never understand people until you're in their own shoes.
Yeah. No, if you have not been there before, you will not understand. I used to say when I was younger, in my 20s, and I was in ministry. I started quite early. And I used to say, people say, Pastor, or let's call me Brother Victor, I'm feeling depressed and I'm not happy. And I'll say, Christ came to give you joy. Why are you unhappy? And I used to do those things. They don't have faith. This. Then one day I was fasting and praying. Then all of a sudden, I went into depression. The Lord sent me into depression to feel what it feels like. Because I was descending into a dark, deep pit. Deep inside me. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like I was falling from a height. And my mind was confused. Everything was out of joint. The only thing that kept me was the fact that I knew it was a learning curve. So I cried unto God to save me from that situation. And when God took away the depression from me, lifted it off, he said, now you feel the way other people feel. Help them. So I learned, because I have been depressed before. A number of times after that, I have been frustrated before. I've been disappointed before. So I can tell somebody who is disappointed that your disappointment is an appointment with God. And your frustration is a station of opportunity for God. You see, when you have felt it, it gives you the license to help someone.
When you have felt it, it gives you the license to help someone.
Yeah.
That it between the culture, between theology expectations and the shiny pedestals that we usually put the pastors on, or some of the pastors themselves have put themselves on.
Yeah.
And we are talking about being human. So what I want us to unpack right now, or what I would love to unpack at the moment, is why is it so hard for the pastors to say, I'm not okay? You've just mentioned you went into depression. And
Yeah.
because you felt it, now you know what it feels like for somebody else who is in the congregation. So what's the reason? Is it fear, or is the church not
It's
a
not
safe
fear.
place?
It is what people have made us to be.
Okay.
And the danger, one of the greatest things that the pastor must watch out for. Don't let people paint a picture of who you are not. So most of us pastors, people have painted a picture of. So when we, instead of looking at ourselves in our own mirror, we're looking at ourselves by the painting society has painted us. That macho, strong, bold, courageous, faith-filled servant of God. Until something hits you, you will know you are human. So it's important to look at yourself in your own mirror. See, the Bible puts it this way: he who judges himself needs no one to judge him. So that's a mirror. Look at yourself. And if you are stupid, tell yourself, I've been very stupid. When you had a fight with somebody and you insulted somebody or insinuated against somebody, judge yourself honestly, truthfully, and said, I went overboard. Do that. I thank God that I've been very quite open to my church members that they can walk in and say, Pastor, that's not the way you say it in English. This is the construction. They can come and say, no, no, no. What you are talking about with science should rather have been this. One time I got angry in church, something happened, and I was mad. The whole church was very quiet. Then a lady, God bless her soul, she walked up to my office after the service. She said this to me: Daddy, don't get angry like that. Don't get angry with us, because when you get angry like that, it is like God is directly reprimanding us.
Wow.
And I shook inside me. And I said, I'm very sorry. That was my redemption. The ability to apologize for hurting your people, even though they were wrong. Instead of using a gentle tongue that breaketh the bone, I was just cracking and breaking my own teeth. And when she said that, the next week I came, I said, you guys, I'm a bit sorry. I went overboard last week. How many people can do that? If you can, that's the humanity. And for me, people paint a picture of us in a particular dimension. So we don't even know how to say sorry. My daughter, your sister, Ayeyi, there was something happened in the house, and I reprimanded her. No, no, she didn't do it. She was very angry. And then later on, I found out that it was one of the other siblings who did that. And she came home, and I said, she was so sad. So she came and I said, my daughter, I'm very sorry. It was wrong of me to have shouted at you when I didn't find out who really did what happened. She went back to school the next day and she was broadcasting among her friends. My daddy said sorry to me. My daddy said sorry to me. And they said, your daddy did what? And she told them what happened. They said, our father would never do that. They said, we would like to know your father. That's the way it was. So for me, being able to be human and see myself in the light of who I really am and God has made me, and not see myself the picture that has been drawn for me. If you're not careful, they'll draw a picture of a cartoon and you fall into a deadly trap.
You don't know this, but for me personally, one of the things that made me stay in family chapel, the first Sunday I walked into family chapel, something happened with the choir and you were angry and you just gave it to them, and then later on there was a joke as well and they all laughed. But surprisingly, that's what made me think I've come to a real church, because I never see the pastor in the pulpit being angry and expressing their emotions. So it was that human
Yeah.
nature that I saw there that made me feel like I'm in a real place. I can relate,
Why pretend?
Yes, I didn't feel I had to pretend at all. I thought, oh, this is a safe.
That's why it's called family chapel.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, I can tell you my peace of mind, and then in the next minute I'll be smiling with you.
Yes, yes.
There's no carry forward.
Yeah. But Daddy, if pastors decide to be vulnerable, can the church handle it?
You don't necessarily have to be vulnerable to everybody, but to somebody. A lot of church members will not understand your vulnerability, but you must have a family support system where a lot of wives fail totally to understand the vulnerability of their great husbands. So it's not everybody who should marry a pastor because the moods can change. So a lot of pastors are even pretentious in the face of their wives.
Okay.
And so because of that macho culture of being a servant of God, strong and bold and courageous, if you look through scripture, one of the greatest men in the Bible, David, he was so vulnerable, so vulnerable. That was David for you. He'll be up today, the next day, he'll be groveling and crying unto God. So your support system of vulnerability must start with God. The next person is your family, your wife, your kids. Can you relate to them and tell them, I'm not feeling well today? Today I'm a bit down. Can they come around and say, Daddy, okay, why don't you do this? Why don't you take a rest? Why don't you stay at home? Can they do that? And sometimes some wives, unfortunately, when you tell them things that you had an argument or at the board meeting or something, the next time they'll be angry with that member you had the tiff with. I mean, so it's difficult for servants of God. But then I have some very great friends in ministry who are like brothers, and I can pour out, and they can pour out to me. And I'm not ashamed to mention one or two names. There might be others, like Bishop Titi Ofer, like Bishop Richard Owusu of Sunyani, and a few others. Bishop Saki of Takrady and Bob Asari of Takrady. I even spoke to Bob today. These are all people who we share. When we have issues, we just say, Charlie, this is what is going on, or what do you think about it? And then, yeah, so you have to have that support system among yourselves. Nobody is going to condemn you. We are human, and we will talk, and we will talk sometimes for hours. Like Dr. Markwe, when I begin to talk to him, especially about life and ministry, I can talk to Markwe for about 2 hours on the phone. And we'll be talking. And that's one of us say, Charlie, it's getting late. So these are people who you can express. I'm not even talking about my fathers in the Lord. I'm talking about my brothers. You need people you can express to, and that will help you along the way.
So there should be a safe support system in place.
Exactly. You must seek that. You must seek it. Even outside your family, you must seek people who think alike, act alike, behave alike, who feel alike, who understand who you are, and you understand who they are, and you trust them. And you trust them. Yeah.
Daddy, somebody might be watching you, a young pastor, or even it doesn't need to be a young pastor, but somebody who is being hurt so much because times that they have opened up to people they trusted from the pulpit it's been thrown back in their faces. They've been backstabbed, so they are on this protective edge where they don't even trust people, and when they see people who are authentic, they can't even see it because they are bleeding on the wounds from the wounds of other people onto those that are authentic, those that are loyal. What would you say to such pastors?
My daughter, that is life and ministry. The wounds are part of the battle of ministry, but they must go over and above those wounds. God will eventually lead them to the right people. you'll be hurt, you'll be stabbed in the back. But those scars are there for you to show to people that you've been there before and you understand, and then you can tell them how to cover those scars and heal the wounds. So if you're going to base the fact that you've been through certain things, and because you've been through certain things, you're not going to trust any human being, then why are you even preaching to human beings? There's no need to preach to any human being. Stay in your corner. Eventually, if you pray, God will bring you the right people. And I'll tell you this. I used to move with some pastors, mates, years ago in Kumasi. And then all of a sudden I realized that no. The direction of the thing now, they're on fire. It won't help me being in that group. I left. We used to go to each other's homes. And I left. I said, no. Years later, I said to one of them, and he's still now very, very good friend of mine. After all these years, he has come also into his own. And I said to him, you know what? You know why I left your group? Because you didn't think the way I thought. You didn't act the way I expected. You are not, for me, you were not real. So I had to leave at that time. It didn't mean I didn't love you people. I loved you, but at a distance. There was a journey God was taking me on. At that time, you were not part of that journey. And I said to him, but now I can relate to you like a brother because you've also gone through your journey and you understand life better.
This thing of
You will find your own. You will find your own.
find your own. Thank you.
Yeah, you will.
Sharing. You will find your own. So you need to keep searching.
Sometimes you don't even search. You just meet somebody one day, and then you begin to communicate with them, and you realize that you just love each other. It's like a jigsaw puzzle. The puzzle is complete. You know, the way I met Titi Ofe, the way I met Bishop Owusu, the way I met Reverend Ansar. We go back, secondary school, and our families knew each other. There are people, the way I met them, Dr. Markwe, the way I met Reverend Eastwood Anaba, the way I met all these people. I mean, divine connections. God will bring people your way. And when they do, you will know that you are safe. So if you pray, He will bring people away in your life. And then at the same time, you know how to handle them. You know, I will tell you a very important thing, and I'm not shy of sharing it. I was in a crisis, and then my money was locked up. And I had to visit a hospital outside the country. And you know the story, I won't go into it, and then I had to get a certain amount of dollars to complete the amount I needed to visit the hospital. You know what? I called one of those people. Then he said, yeah, when you get to Accra, I have the money ready. And then the other person I contacted, it's very interesting. Sometimes we have sons and daughters who stand with us and we can share. It will shock you. Are you big enough to come low enough? Are you big enough? So I contact this other son of mine. And I said, look, I have this amount of money. This brother of mine has given me this. I need this to complete my medical treatment. And I said, when I come back, I'll give you back your money. So he also gave me some money, added to it. And that whole journey cost me over $20,000. When I got back, I called my brother, the first one, the bishop, and I said, I want to bring your money. You know what he said? He said, no, you can't bring back the money. And I called the younger one too. He said, no. It's part of it. Once you are fine, we are also fine. Now, amongst us, one of my friends called me recently. The banks were after him. When he called me, I didn't hesitate. I took my phone and I said to him, how much do you need? What are you talking about? And he mentioned how much he needed. Quickly sent him the memo of the amount to go and sort out the bank people that they won't come on his neck. And I said, whatever time you want to bring it. He said, oh, by the end of the month. But I had decided that most likely I would either cut the money into two or leave the money because somebody else did something for me. And if I do it for somebody, now, you know, so that's the way it works. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. That's what you will find people. Now, if these people had not been there, I might have remained in Ghana around that time and I could have died. And that is the way it is.
So we need each other.
Definitely. No man is an island.
That
No man is an island.
topic of still being human. What kind of wounds have you had to nurse while pouring into others? How do you keep showing up when you are still bleeding or you are still healing yourself?
I mean, my daughter, I'm kind of fancy, I mean,
You don't bleed anymore.
I don't bleed anymore. My blood is depleted.
Wow.
I don't bleed anymore.
Wow.
I'm not saying I'm not human. I'm human, but it has happened so much. When it happens again, I say, okay, there you go again. There he goes again. so once I said to a certain pastor, I said to him, as for me, Victor, say, I am not afraid, because I serve a living God. As for me, Victor, say, I am not worried. I am not afraid. I mean, I've bled so much, all my blood is finished. So I am walking, I am flesh and bones. so I care less.
But Daddy, somebody is bleeding. So how should the person still show up and do what?
Oh no, but don't bleed that. Don't bleed that, Joe. Hey! You know why sometimes we bleed? Because we are too full of ourselves. We are too full of ourselves. We feel that, why should that person do that to me? Why should they hurt me? Why can't they appreciate me? Why are they talking? I mean, you will come to realize that there are haters, and whether you like it or not, there are haters, there are pretenders, there are hypocrites, there are liars. It's all part of the system. So sometimes, just do this and move on with your life.
But Daddy, there is the other aspect that church members don't really understand, or again, as we've been talking about making our pastors superheroes, but our pastors go through life just as we do, pain,
Yeah,
suffering.
yeah.
If church members could peek behind the curtain of the pastor's life, what's the
Yeah.
one thing that you wish they really get about your pain, about the journey, and how
You know
to
what?
show up as well?
You know what? I have come to that place where I've learned to pour out in the pulpit who I am over these years. And I don't pretend about it. And I have come to that place where I can tell people that this is it. This is me. This is who I was. This is who I am. So when you talk to the church members and let them know that this was you and this is who you are now. When anybody says anything, our pastor has already said it. And they know you, and they know you are human. So they can come to you with their problems. I'm sorry, but it's very cold here. Where I am. So they can come to you, but when you behave as if you are a spiritual macho, never have ever done certain things, how would they share with you? Because if you've not been there before, as I said earlier, how can you advise somebody? But if they know that you've been there before, you've experienced what they've experienced, they come to you, they should have confidence enough in you to know that you will not condemn them. You will not condemn them, but you will help them.
Wow, confident enough to know you will not condemn them.
But help them.
Daddy,
I've forgotten the story of the woman who went and slept with somebody, the married woman, and then Jesus says, he that is without sin, let them cast the stone. Jesus says, he says, I don't condemn you, but go and sin no more. We should use that as a basis of helping people. Yeah. And all these things is Jesus showing his humanity. He understood the situation.
Yeah, Daddy, I'm glad you've said that, because I feel that most of the things we hear about pastors, things that are not appropriate, and it just didn't start. It's because they probably didn't have anyone to be vulnerable to. That
Yeah.
I'm struggling in this area and I need help.
Yeah.
Oh, just as you've described, somebody is able to come to you and say, "This woman tempted me," and he said, "Well, it's not temptation; it's your own desires." Then you laugh about it, but I'm sure you tell them what's the right thing next time,
Exactly.
where to put the boundaries, and that's what the up and coming young pastors needs to be able to have, that safe person or that safe space to be able to be vulnerable.
But if you don't learn how to shed, it's going to be very difficult for you. The Bible says, lay aside that weight that so easily besets you. Now, if you had issues with certain things, don't go where those things are. That is shedding. If you have problems with anger, don't try and fall into an argument. When you realize an argument is coming, pause, retreat. When you realize that you will get into a situation with money and it's not going to help, pause, retreat. You have to shed. Colossians chapter 3. Set your eyes on things above, not on things beneath. Put off, and then it says, put on. Put off the old man. Put on the new nature. So, you have to learn how to shed. And shedding is not easy. Shedding can be very painful and difficult because you are used to a certain kind of a life. But gradually, God will help us. We are only perfected when we pass on and be with the Lord. That's when we are perfected. But as we are on this earth, we need to be consistently shedding. And shedding brings growth, like a snake. If a snake wants to grow, it has to shed its former skin. And then it rubs itself against a rock and sheds. And when it sheds, it develops new skin and begins to grow bigger. It's the same thing with us. We have to shed if we want to grow. That's the way it works.
We have to shed if we want to grow. Wow. For a young pastor out there watching us, this is a message for us, all young ministers, young pastors. We have to shed if we want to grow. Thank you so much, Daddy, for sharing that. But Daddy, let's just come home at this time. We all know ministry isn't just a you thing,
Okay.
a whole family affair. So please tell us, how has the call to ministry shaped or shaking life at home?
Okay. Shaking, I wouldn't say shaking. Shaping, sharpen, strengthen, yes. Now, I made some decisions very early in life. And you people know that I never brought my work from the office to the home. Number one. That is something I did. So when I came home, I would watch TV with everybody, laugh with everybody, eat with everybody, talk with everybody. And then when everybody's asleep, then I come into my pastoral self, read, pray, etc., and then go to bed. But I determined that my life in the office will be different from my life at home. And that is the way I carried it. So it helped me. So when I come home, I am not Bishop Victor. I am Daddy, period. In the office, even in the office, when I'm in the office, I'm their daddy. I tell them this part of the church is the administrative sector. So we can talk and laugh, and then I can share intimate things with them, my pastors and the secretaries. But I tell them when we descend and open that door into the main auditorium, there's Bishop Victor. And there I am different. I don't know a father, I don't know a mother, I don't know a wife, I don't know children. There, that unction begins to play. And it's a different ball game. Once I leave that place, I shed. And I become, even though still graced and anointed, I become daddy.
Now that you're saying it, I'm actually reflecting on how I used to wonder. So, when and where does daddy get the time to prepare for such powerful sermons? Because when you are home, you are daddy. We are
Yeah.
playing Ludo, we are watching TV together, we are watching films.
Yeah.
Like you are daddy. That's end of story. So I used to wonder, how does daddy prepare? But now I understand that you do your pastoral things in church, in the office, and when you
Yeah.
come home, you are a father to us.
Sanity. Sanity.
Oh,
And then in the office, we don't come to the office also on Fridays. So there are times on Fridays I can be in the office alone. And there are also times in the office when they open my door, knock and open, and then they realize that I'm playing worship songs on my computer. They will just shut the door. And sometimes that can go on for 2, 3, 4 hours. And anybody coming, they'll just tell them that he's resting. They know I am in my other element. I am being Pastor Victor coming before God. So they've also learned to know and understand who I am, what I'm doing at what time. So it's like that.
wow, thank you so much, Daddy. Thank you for being the practical bishop. I'm glad we are all learning, because I think there is a young man out there who is struggling to navigate and combine it all together. But we are diving deep into the next topic, which I want us to discuss. I find this a
Okay.
pretty one, and I'm just glad that you are the one sitting in this seat with me, because no, you are not going to sugarcoat this at all. Daddy,
Okay.
pastors are burning out. They are burning out so fast. Pastors are just tired. They are not resting.
You know what?
Prioritizing rest.
You know what? Let's come on. You're a human being first. Don't try to be superhuman. That is the first thing. And then the second thing is that always have your special time with God. You won't burn out.
Okay.
When you have that time of worship with God alone, one-on-one with God. And number 3, learn how to rest. Learn how to rest. One main reason why I came to South Africa, I came here to rest. So for 2 weeks, look, I've had a program, and I came with one of my resident pastors, Pastor Ofori. I came with Pastor Ofori. I'm supposed to be preaching somewhere. I sat back and said, Pastor Ofori, preach. I went to all the meetings. The last one was this morning. And I sat there and I watched him preach. I listened to him preach. I said, I'm not preaching on this journey. I'm just sitting there watching him preach. I have been resting. I have been eating. I have been roaming around town. That's all I'm doing. I am just resting, and I'm going back fully. And you know what? My 2 weeks here, I have about 3 messages I've prepared. I'll sleep. I'll wake up at about 3, 4 a.m., pray, take notes. I have composed, and most people don't know I even make songs. I have composed about 4 or 5 songs already.
Wow.
And I have, put together messages. I'm resting. Resting doesn't mean you don't talk to God. What it means is that you need your alone time. Take it easy. You can't be all things to all men.
Yes.
When you leave, somebody will take over. Don't deceive yourself. If you're not careful, you're not set well, your church will just collapse.
I'm just glad you said that, because Daddy, what's happening? You would find somebody preaching Sunday after Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, having associate pastors and everything, but they don't get even the chance, give them the chance to preach, because I don't know if it's down to insecurity. I heard a story of a pastor who, whenever he was traveling, he would rather bring in pastors who wouldn't preach as good as he does, so that his church members would miss him.
Look, when I left, for the first 2 Sundays I left, the first Sunday I was there, my son preached third Sunday, then Father's Day, one of my fathers in the Lord, Reverend Douglas, Dr. Douglas Akona from Pom, preached on Father's Day. Sometimes I'm not there, Maverick preaches. Sometimes I'm not there, Pastor Ofori preaches. It doesn't worry me. By Wednesday, Thursday, they do a write-up of the message. And they were giving write-up of the message, and as I preached, and some of them were telling how blessed they were, one of the best messages of the year. Do I worry? Am I concerned? Am I in competition with my own son? Am I in competition?
If it's because he's your own son.
No, I'm not in competition with Pastor Ofori or Pastor Nanaya or Pastor Nanaya Pese, our teaching man pastor, who sometimes comes down to preach, or Pastor Jack, who sometimes comes to preach, or Pastor Albert. Sometimes they all come to the headquarters to preach. No, look, the reality is that they can't compete with me because of my experiences, and it's not even, it's not a competition. Everybody brings a different dimension to life and ministry. And for me, it's exciting to see them. I'm not a prophet, I'm an apostle. But when Pastor Albert stands there and gives all those prophetic words and things like that, I don't go, this guy, I won't let him come here again. He's adding a different dimension to ministry.
That's right.
Pastor Jack will come sometimes, he will do the weddings, and in his age, his wisdom, his understanding, his calmness, his pastoral ability, Nanea Pese, his training, he trains the Sundays, trains the pastors and things like that for Bible school. He comes into the pulpit, he's teacher, very good teacher. No, it doesn't bother me 1 minute. I am who God has made me. And me, I have no competitor. They have also no competitor. They are who they are. When you are in your own skin, you are not afraid. You are not worried. But if you don't do that and you don't bring up people, one day you will regret it. You find building success is very difficult. Look, before even my son preached, other people were preaching. So he understands that it is a privilege to stand in that pulpit. It's not his right. Because the big pulpit, a total papa, you don't get that pulpit again. Yeah, my son, but if you don't preach anything important, you will not stand there again. And I can tell you, all these 2, 3, 4, 5 years he's been with me, he's only preached about 4 or 5 times.
Daddy, now that you're talking about my brother preaching and all that, I would want us to talk about some of the prevailing things that came through. What to do with the increasing concern about church succession. People, we are finding that most charismatic pastors,
I know, right?
are now seen to be passing the baton on to their own biological sons into the pastoral role and handing over the church to them and all that. And somebody sent a message and said, imagine laboring faithfully for years only to watch the pastor's son you once saw in nappies now being groomed to.
I'm happy you use the word nappies.
Yes.
I'm happy you use the word nappies. Look. So, what people don't understand is that the next generation, they don't need that person who saw that boy in nappies. Because by the time he becomes his own, you'll be an old man yourself. You understand me? Yeah. So what it is that if the age difference between me, some of my pastors are virtually almost the same age as I am. Others also are just about, but maybe give and take 10. Okay, give and take 10, maybe 15. If I am 65 and I get to the age of 85, the youngest pastor will be about 70. Will be about 70. Now, if I say pass on at the age of 90, that pastor will be somewhere around 80. Who needs an old 80-year-old man to take over Family Chapel? It doesn't make sense. Yes, you labored with me. We were around the same age group. Or you are waiting for me to die and take over. You might even die before me. So what are you talking about?
Is this scriptural? Is this, if we're not...
No, okay, I will come there. I will come there. I give the practical example of those you start with. Most of them happen to be around your age, give and take 10 years. I told my pastor some time ago, make sure you build your churches. But I'll tell you this, we're all dying together. Why am I saying that? Because our age is not very different. So if you say people who labored with you, Titus and the rest, they all labored with Paul, but they're all around the same age group. But it was Timothy, John Mark, who are the next generation of people. Now, here is the thing. As I'm growing, those I labored with from the beginning. I do whatever I can to make sure that they are secure in themselves and the future of themselves and their children. Fortunately for Family Chapel, most of our pastors, our kids are doing so well. God has blessed us. So they are not bitter. They are not looking to take over from me. And I've told them from day one that you'll be too old to take over from me. That is the reality. So not necessarily even my son. People don't understand that most of us pastors who are in ministry today, we did not call our sons into ministry. I can say that because most of the charismatic leaders are my brethren in the Lord. We didn't call our sons. I never called my son into ministry. He hated ministry. No. Yeah. And I thank you that you know, and you can testify. My son didn't like ministry. I would love that one of my children would come into ministry. But I knew one day Caleb would be in ministry. So I took a Bible and wrote his name on it. That God bless you and God use you mightily. One day he was looking for a Bible because I buy a lot of Bibles as souvenirs and put them there. And I occasionally I write the name of one of my kids on it so that one day they can have it. And he picked a Bible and opened it and he saw his name in it and the date. He was shocked. He was shocked. He said, "What? So you have sold me to God years ago?" And I laughed. But here is the thing. So 2 weeks ago, he told it and gave the testimony that he didn't want ministry. But somehow, God brought him to that place. I never called him to come to the office. I never said, be a pastor. But people are so funny when they say, we are handing over to our children. No, God is handing over to them. And for me, this is the wisdom. My son now, he understands my direction. He understands, he lives with me, or he used to live with me, but he still walks with me. We go to programs together. We share. He understands my heartbeat more. So I wouldn't hand over a church to somebody who will come and begin to do things differently. I'm not saying my family should take over forever, but I'm saying that I need to make sure that the format, the plot, the plan God gave us would be perpetuated from generation to generation. Now, if you look at the Old Testament, inheritance of ministry was in families. Good. Now, when you come to the New Testament, because God chose differently in different places, you had Paul, you had this, you had Peter, you had that. So the line of succession was very different. But you should remember that even with Agabus, his daughters were prophets. So it is neither here nor there. If God chooses to give us a son to take over or a daughter to take over, praise him. The ministry is not for me. But it is very clear that God has called some of our sons. And I think the reason is to make sure what he initially planned would keep generation to generation. And it's as simple as that. People don't understand that. It's about what God has said. And we need to pass it on, as the Bible says, to trusted people. Paul was speaking to trusted people who carry on with what God intended. Because every ministry has its own uniqueness, has its own revelation from God as to the direction and mode of worship. And Family Chapel, we're a very great worshiping church. And there are things that we do that other people don't necessarily do. Yes, it's all about souls, but there's a direction for the ministry and the church.
Daddy, I'm asking this question as a generic because somebody like my brother, Reverend Caleb,
Yeah.
I know, like it came even as a shock to me too because I knew he didn't want to be a pastor.
No, he didn't want ministry. People don't even know that about our children.
He didn't at all. Among
Look, my brother Bishop Dag's son, he never wanted ministry.
okay,
I can go on and tell you more of all of us. They didn't want ministry. Look, some of our kids are doctors, are lawyers. They can stand on their own. Caleb has a master's in marketing, and then in art in the first year he wants to even do law now. You see, so he could have survived with doing anything.
yeah,
He didn't need to come into ministry to make it, and that should let people understand that those of our kids who are in ministry, they are not there because we ask them to be there, but God chose them.
thank
And I don't know why to be there. That's it. Because none of us compelled our children to come into ministry. Bishop Ajin,
to hear.
you should see Bishop Ajin's son minister. Recently, they were in Kumasi. The first day of the crusade we had with Bishop Ajin. This young man ministered so powerfully, blind, deaf, dumb, cripples. There are people in the church, yeah, but that kind of grace, they don't have it. And it's God who gave it to the young man. Why should God do that? And so his evangelistic ministry has been taken over by this young boy. So you say, why is it that it's taken over? Okay, if you have the grace, come. But God chose to give the grace to his son. Now, one of them is a pastor. And it's as simple as that. They didn't start off by saying that we are going to be pastors. No, I beg people. I beg you. We didn't call our children. Our kids were never excited about ministry because they found ministry too much wahala. And the things people would say about their parents and their fathers, insulting and insinuating, my kids have had to fight with people, who don't know me and they think they know me. The other people's kids have had to fight for their parents. Yeah, because they don't know the people the way they think they know them. Our kids didn't want all this baggage. And that's what it is. So I want people to know we didn't call our children. We never did. And I can say it, God is my witness. I didn't call my son into
Believe
ministry.
it because he is an evidence of me
Yeah,
knowing that because he definitely didn't want to. So
we didn't want it.
I know that. I know that very much. I know that very much. And thank you for explaining that.
And people should give us a break, Kakrai.
Oh, you had it.
If these people, if these are children, when they came into ministry, they couldn't hold their own, then you can talk. But if they're holding their own and they're doing well with all humility and with power and grace from God, and I think people should give us a break.
Wow, this has been an insightful conversation. And all too soon, we are coming to an end of this great chat. But a couple of questions, though,
Okay.
that I still would want us. That if you had a room full of young pastors and leaders, would you urgently want them to know? What's that one thing you would want to say to them right now? Especially those who are weary, maybe in ministry or maybe just in life. What would you like to say to them?
Love the Lord God with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Let God be principal through his son Jesus Christ, through the power of the Holy Spirit, be the principal thing in your life. When we veer off course, we look at other things around us, we get frustrated. Like Peter, Jesus said, come. When he said, come, he was walking on the water. And then he looked at the storm and then began to sink. And he shouted, Jesus. And then he lifted him up. Jesus held his hands and they walked back into the boat, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith. He is the principal person worship him, serve him. Paul says, I believe in God, whose I am, whom I serve, and he has given me all these people in this boat. There will be no loss of life. Understand that. We serve him. We belong to him. When you do that, no matter what you go through, you will land safely at the shore.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you.
You're welcome, my daughter.
Daddy, but we are not going without spilling some holy tea real quick. Not many people know this. But you are a mastermind behind some seriously powerful worship songs. Yes, songs that have become lifelines for some of us before they even hit
Wow.
the public. These songs have spoken to us many times when you have no words. They are that kind of songs that you worship with when you have no words. How did this songwriting journey begin?
I have a son. He plays the organ. And KD, he's called KD. Very good organist. One of the top organists in ministry. And anytime I'd preach, sometimes I'd lift a worship song that has not been there before. It just flows, you know. And then one day he came and said, Daddy, all these songs sometimes you lift up in church. Why don't you start putting them, recording them, and then put it out there for people to be blessed by it? So I laughed. Then one day he says, Daddy, please do it. So then we started. So I always thank KD for pushing me to do that which I do today. A lot of people don't know it's an aspect of ministry, and it's something that I'm building up these days. And I know people just love those songs because they come not birth of making money, not birth of getting the likes and the listenership, but from the spirit that will change and transform people's lives.
And they are powerful worship songs. Daddy, what I love about the worship songs is the fact that it really exalts God. Like God is the center of
Exactly.
It's not one of those worship songs that you have your feelings in you. Everything is about God.
I'll tell you a secret. Sometimes I listen to those songs and I ask myself, where did they come from? Because I am scared of saying I wrote them.
Wow.
I'm telling you the truth. So I always want to find a way. People ask me, how did you write these songs? I want to say, I wrote it by sitting down and I got some inspiration. Then one day God gave me how to explain it. And I said, God downloaded it into my spirit. Because I know that I did not couch those songs. I did not. He downloaded it into me. And then I began to write. Now, because of that, I can be listening to even a song from somebody. Then all of a sudden, out of a certain melody, I get another song.
Wow.
Sometimes I'm waking up in the middle of the night and I can end up writing 2 or 3 songs. And it happens today. I wrote a song. When I'm preaching, I always write songs. So every time in church, I have 2 or 3 people. When I start that, they begin to record.
Okay.
And then they will send it to me. And then with time, I have on my phone, this phone I'm holding, I have maybe close to 300-400 songs.
I was going to ask because the last time I was home, you had so many, you didn't even know which ones to put forward.
To choose. Yeah.
Wow. Daddy, where can we find the music?
At the moment, the initial ones we put there, about 15 or so, we removed them because we are doing videos and we are bringing them. So if you go to Insight Music, INSYTE on YouTube, you have Nyamene there. And on the 26th, which is my birthday, I didn't want to tell people, but because you asked this question.
Your birthday is never a secret. It cannot be a secret because we will start advertising before the day.
Yes. On the 26th, we are coming out with one, I Cry, featuring Petra Dibayo. Mrs. We are coming out with I Cry. I Cry, you will love it. You will love it. It's so powerful.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right, guys, you better look out for it.
Insight Music.
Insight Music on Instagram. That is it just
INSYTE on YouTube, Instagram, everywhere.
I'll put the links on the videos. So if we land this plane with a big one, when the mic is off, when the crowds are gone and the ropes are hanging, what's the legacy you want echoing long after Daddy? Not just as bishop or as preacher or papa, but as the man Victor Osei, what's the legacy you want to leave?
He served God to serve humanity. That's what I want written on my grave. He served God to serve humanity. My legacy, I think, that is in the messages I preach. I want that people can still take those messages and learn and preach it because it's from God. I have a certain kind of a high-profile congregation, doctors, lawyers, professionals, lecturers, who, when I pick up a theme, they immediately can buy into it and they understand where I'm going. That is the congregation God has given me. Let me advise young people. Whatever congregation you want, whatever people you want to draw into your church will be determined by the kind of message you preach. The kind of message you preach. If you're always preaching faith, faith, be healed, be healed, be healed, prophesy, prophesy, there's a kind of congregation who will come there. But if you're not careful and not preaching the whole gospel, they will not grow. They'll be dependent on you for their healing, for their deliverance. But I want to bring up a people who don't need me to be healed.
That's right.
Because they've been taught how to receive their healing from Jesus. Then the second thing I want to be remembered for is what God added recently, is my music. Yeah, the music that we've started putting out there. I want to be that for years people can still worship with it. There are about 3 or 4 very popular musicians have given songs even recently.
Wow. Daddy,
And some of them will be coming out. Yeah.
for mine.
Look, you don't have a problem. You don't have a problem. I'm telling you. You don't have a problem. Because you can just come and choose what you want.
Thank you, Daddy. Thank you. This should have been our last question, but as you were talking, something came into my mind that I would want us to talk about in terms of this issue of, oh, the pastors are doing well, so they don't need anything they don't need your money, they're just taking your money off. The reason why I talk about that is you being my father and the number of years I lived with you, I saw how much you looked after many people from school, secondary school, university, you doing your masters. I'm talking about the house was like a boarding house. Food, we have a whole pantry of food, a whole chest freezers of food. Nobody is asking anybody to take some and leave some. You can eat whatever you want to eat.
Up till today, nobody prepares breakfast for anybody apart from me.
And I remember this day. I hope I can talk about this day and not.
Go ahead.
I remember this day. That was about my first time I'd come from the university and come and live in the house. And I was working on vacation when I was working in the bank. So
I remember with that company.
Yes.
Was it Kesman?
Yes, it was Kesman, Garden City Savings and Loans.
Yeah.
I just went to town, bought a few things I thought I needed for school. In my mind, for some reason, I didn't think it was your responsibility. I was just grateful that I have a home. I come and there are people that make me feel like a home. I didn't feel it. Plus, my parents were still alive then.
Alive, yeah.
So I remember coming from town and everybody who met me at the entrance of the gates were like, oh, Daddy's been waiting for you for so long. Daddy's been waiting. I said, really? Why? They said, Daddy's waiting for you to go and do your shopping for school. I said, okay, really? And then I said, Daddy, I've bought a few things. He said, well, I did ask you to buy, so get in the car.
I remember we went to Ahojo Safeway.
We went, yes. Myself, I don't know if it was me, and Pokia, yes. I think we were all in the university at the same time.
Yeah.
So we just got there and it wasn't an issue of what do you need in school. It was an issue as well. This is a supermarket. Go and
pick what you want.
What you want for school. I'd never ever heard of that in my life before. I'd never seen a love like that before. And I remember not being able to pick anything because I was so much in shock. And then the two ladies were just teasing me and laughing at me. But when we got home, that's when like I broke down and I started crying. I was shocked. I don't know the money you have in your pocket. I don't know what is sitting in the bank account, but you just say, this is the shop, pick everything you need for school. And that was a very, very moving moment in my life. It taught me some kind of love. I feel is a debt that I need to pay to generations upon generations.
Exactly. God will help you do that.
And yes, and it breaks my heart that I haven't gotten to that point of doing
You will.
I feel indebted a lot, that a lot has been poured to me, such kind of love. And that is why it makes me want to bring up the issue of, if pastors look like they are living in luxury, I know from personal experience with you that it's not luxury, and not everything that is given to you belongs, it doesn't even go to you. You end
Yeah.
up handing it over to other people.
Others, yeah.
Daddy, God bless you.
People don't even know that for more than 10 years, I have not even received a salary.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
I chose to let it be like that. One day, and I said to them, because we are doing a lot of projects, I said to them that one day I'll come for my money. Then one day, my administrator comes, Pastor Slim, and says, Daddy, we can't pay all that we owe you, so we've cancelled everything. If you need something, tell us. And, I didn't get it. I just laughed. I said, hey, Slim.
The pay that is due you.
They cancelled it. They said so many years. They said, how are we going to pay? How are we going to pay? No. We've cancelled it. We've erased it. They just cancelled it. The young man took and said that we've cancelled it. And I just stood there and laughed, But again, that is the way life is, And I want them to know that, just to prove that you are truly my daughter, tell them that when you were getting married, I left Ghana, sat on a flight, and handed you over, preached and blessed your marriage.
Daddy, maybe to add to that so that people understand the depth of it, you actually came on a Friday.
Yeah.
Just for the wedding on Saturday and Sunday, and went back on Monday. That's how much you came. You didn't come because you were passing through London.
No, to preach somewhere, no.
You came because of that. I didn't buy your ticket.
No.
I didn't pay you for ticket.
No.
You came all way to give
No.
a hand in marriage. And that's
because you're my daughter.
Yes. And also because you promised me. I remember, I don't know if you remember that you came in December. I had not planned a wedding, but it was on my mind. And we were sitting in a car, myself, you and mommy, going somewhere. And I said, Daddy, we might want to get married soon because I need to come back to Ghana because of A, B, and C. And he said, oh, okay. Whenever you plan, let me know. You said it casually. And for me, it was casual. Just phoning you to inform you that, Daddy, we've set a date and it's in 2 months.
Yeah.
Daddy, thank you.
You're welcome.
God bless you, Daddy.
You're welcome.
I cannot pay you enough. I don't think I haven't even started. So maybe I might be cancelling the debt like the pastor did as well. And then
go ahead, cancel it right now. Cancel it right now.
But Daddy, honestly, I am grateful that the kind of love, and I want to call it unconditional love, because there was nothing attached to it. Today, people see me and they say, Chesca this, Chesca that. But at the time, I was nothing and I had nothing to give. And yet you invested in me like a royal, like a queen, like you are the investment I would put everything in. And I'm so grateful. I needed that at that time, because not long after leaving home, I came in here and I got married. And looking back with the kind of issues I knew I had internally, if God didn't bless me with bringing me to be part of the family, I wouldn't have turned out this way, even in marriage.
It is a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Daddy.
You're welcome.
God bless you. Oh, what a ride this conversation has been. It's been rich, it's been real and refreshing. Daddy, God bless you. Thank you
Bless
so
you
much.
too.
This wasn't just a chat, it was a heart encounter. Thank you for dropping the mic, dropping everything, and for showing us the man behind the mask. It's been a great, great blessing.
My pleasure.
To all of you out there, to you listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. I'll put the link below for the music. Watch out for it. And thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Pulpit. If today's episode has blessed you, just share this, like it, heart it, send a message, put down your questions, because Bishop Dr. Victor Osei is going to read them and we'll be able to answer them as time goes by.
Maybe we should do another session with just answering
I would
questions.
love that, Daddy. I would love that, except that you're a very busy man as well.
Oh, I will always find a way to make time for you.
Thank
You know, and you know me,
Oh, Daddy.
I will always call you when you need the call.
Thank you, Daddy. Yes, I
Like
know
we
that.
spoke a few days ago.
Yes, yes. Guys, that's the thing. I don't have to tell Daddy I need a call, but Daddy knows I need a call. Thank you. Thank you, Daddy.
You're welcome.
God bless you. We'll be in touch again.
Bye-bye.